Hello and welcome to the Retail Podcast. Today we're at the Deloitte and Google booth. I'm privileged to be joined by Lupine, the senior retail researcher at Deloitte. And we're going to be talking about a recent report that you put out. So without further ado, tell us about the Deloitte research.
So we just put out our 2023 retail outlook. For the report, we did surveys with 50 retail executives. And we're just kind of trying to understand how are they planning for the year ahead, where they're sort of, thinking about their investments, how they're thinking about the consumer, and just kind of getting their take on the overall economic environment.
Did you, when you looked at the senior execs for the retailers, were they in any specific categories in terms of grocery retail? Or was it a sort of a sample across the whole category?
We get a sample across the retail space. We're looking primarily at larger companies that kind of represent Deloitte clients.
Got you. And this is specifically focused on the US market.
Right.
So tell me, I'm really curious. What are the key sort of takeaways from your findings?
Well, no surprise, but the overall outlook was pretty negative just because there's so many headwinds this year in terms of inflation, the lingering supply chain issues. Labor obviously is still an issue. So, people were a little bit hesitant and negative about 2023. In the survey results, we only had a third of the retail executives say they were confident in maintaining or improving profit margins for the year ahead. So, people are kind of taking a cautious look.
It was interesting. Did you see the Lowe's talk this morning? Okay. The one thing that's really interesting for me, a lot of the CEOs are sort of saying that actually it's not going to be as downbeat as people thought. Although Christmas was good, the economic outlook for this year with the Fed raising interest rates is actually going to sort of slow down the inflation process. In your retail outlook, did you look at inflation and interest rates and the impact?
We didn't necessarily look at the actual inflation rates, but we were talking to the executives about how they were feeling about inflation. That was obviously top of mind. We did this survey back in November, so a little bit different environment then. But I think overall that their concern is just that the consumer might be feeling the pinch or even just paying attention to the media, and they're thinking that this is happening. And so they were expecting consumers to, just be a little bit more cautious.
And was there any focus on, for example, investment in technologies or solutions or specific areas of where they should look to invest, or if they're going to work with Deloitte, what would be those areas?
Yeah, so it was kind of interesting. We did a financial analysis of sort of the winners in the space during the pandemic. And then we also looked at, in our survey data, who were the leaders and who were the laggards and what set them apart. And what we found was that, digital is going to be a huge investment. Those that are kind of in that leading category, they are, they're expecting maybe a slight downturn, but they're preparing for when we get out of that. And they want to have those investments in place to take advantage of that. So what we're seeing is big investments in digital, and a lot of that was around social commerce. They see that as an area that's, real.
Could you just break down what your version of social, what your thoughts on social commerce are?
Yeah, so I think social commerce could be anywhere where commerce is happening online. So whether that's on video games, whether it's from, influencers, that sort of thing. So they're really seeing that as sort of the next level of where digital's going. So we're seeing a lot of investments in that area. Another area we heard that these leaders were investing in were in omnichannel capabilities. No surprise there, but when we looked at that in a little more detail, the big part of that was investing in reverse logistics. So we've seen tons of retailers roll out, curbside pickup and all these omnichannel capabilities. We haven't seen as much on the reverse logistics side. So the return process, if you order something online, it's kind of cumbersome, right? So sometimes you have to repackage it and send it in. And you might not get your money back for 2 weeks. So what we're seeing are people trying to figure out how to take the friction out, make those returns easier. We also have seen that people don't do a lot of exchanges online, and that's sort of a opportunity to save a sale. If someone's going to return it, why not offer an exchange, send them something directly, immediately, so that you're not potentially losing that sale. So those are a couple things we're seeing on the omni-channel side. And then the other thing we're seeing is just in terms of last mile opportunities, right? That's been a huge friction point. And one of the things we're just seeing are the leaders in this group are really investing in like micro fulfillment centers so they can, just expand their network, get things to people faster. We're seeing that people are investing in those, are able to expand their network of customers that they can reach in 1 to 2 days, that sort of thing.
Fantastic. Is this something that's published or is this all private research? So if I wanted to find out more about it, where would I go? How would I get my hands on the actual data?
So we do publish it, and it's out right now. It's you can Google it or you can find it on Deloitte's website, but it's the 2023 Deloitte Retail Outlook.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for giving me your time. Lovely to meet you, Lupine. Thank you.